Oh, she's here, so you're going to hang for class.
Or not.
I forgot. Since my son was 8 years old, he doesn't come to my classes 10 years, but then he got himself a significant other. She listens to my classes, so then when she's in town, he also comes. I thought that we would today have a small group of devotees, which is nice. It allows me to speak a little bit more from my heart, and the class doesn't have to be quite as structured because I'm talking to people who already have a relationship with Nityananda Prabhu. And so it's like talking to family members about a member of your family that all of you know. And so we don't have to talk about, anyway, so many things. I think that and also I think that devotees in our tradition for the last 500 years, we have sort of two ways we think about Nityananda Prabhu. We either think of him as Balaram, or we think of him as Nityananda. Did you follow that? Because Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is Krishna. And so when Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is Krishna, then Nityananda is Balaram. It makes sense, right? Balaram hoilo nitya. Balaram became Nityananda. And so this idea about the nature of Nityananda as Baladev, as Krishna's elder brother, it's there from the very beginning. It's a part of our tradition. And so when you think of Chaitanya as Krishna, Gadadhar becomes Radharani, but Nitya becomes Baladev. Follow? And there's value in this. Lakshman was Ram's younger brother. Krishna's Kaviraj teaches us this. Lakshman was Ram's younger brother. He's Ramanuja. It was just the appearance day of Ramanujacharya. Ramanuja means, Anu means after, and Ja means born. So Anuja means born after. Ramanuja is the name for Lakshman. Born after Ram. Lakshman was Ram's younger brother, and when Ram wanted to go to the forest and renounce his kingdom, Lakshman didn't agree. Lakshman said, let's take the kingdom. Let's fight, let's win. You're my brother, I'll back you up, and we can win the whole show. Lakshman did not like seeing Ram banished to the forest. It wasn't his desire to see his worshipable deity compromised like that. This is one of the reasons why Ram Leela is a midway point between Vaikuntha, where Krishna's always God, and Vrindavan, where Krishna's for all intents and purposes never God. Where love is never obfuscated by Krishna's divinity. Even Krishna shows his mother all the universes in his mouth. Even he picks up Govardhan Hill, quickly his elders pick up their sticks and they think, we'll hold the hill, Krishna, you can go. They can't accept that Krishna's God because it would get in the way of and disturb their intimate dealings with Krishna as their most beloved object. And because rulers make bad lovers, Krishna, for all intents and purposes, gives up his Aishwaryatva, external, his opulence, so that his sweetness can beguile everyone and overwhelm everybody with feelings of intimate love. And they can love Krishna as a child, or as their friend, or as their lover. So really, Krishna's never God in Vrindavan. He's always God in Vaikuntha. When Gopakumar, a cowherd boy, went to Vaikuntha, he didn't like the fact that Narayan was always on an altar and he was always venerated as the supreme. So Narayan dressed up as a cowherd boy and had all the Vaikuntha Vasis dressed up as cowherd boys, and he would put on a show for Gopakumar of Gopa Leela, of the Leela of cowherd boys, so that Gopakumar's sentiments could find a place to repose themselves. But even then, it never felt right to Gopakumar, because although they were all dressed as cowherd boys and doing cowherd boy type stuff, everybody was still filled with so much veneration for Narayan, who was performing this bewildering pastime, that Gopakumar couldn't disport himself on equal terms with his Lord, and eventually he had to move on. Ram Leela is right in the middle. Ram is human enough that you can fall in love with him and you can think of him as your family member, as your king, like that. So Lakshmana was devastated that he had to suffer with Ram. There's no suffering in Vaikuntha. Kunt means suffering. Vaikuntha means no suffering. There's so much suffering in Vrindavan. There's so much suffering. In a lot of ways, the suffering of Vrindavan is what makes it sweet. The suffering of separation from Krishna. What we call vipralamba. It means it's twisted. The Leela gets twisted. Lam means bent. Vipralamba means it's especially bent. And there's suffering. And that suffering is separation. The word vipralamba is, although literally etymologically meaning bent, it means separation in our literature. The devotees feel separated from Krishna, which augments and accentuates their love and raises it to new limits. Rupa Goswami said that without vipralamba, then Sambhog would die. Union would die. The vipralamba, the separation, keeps that union fresh and exciting. Lakshmana felt disturbed that Ram had to suffer. Again, this is why Ram Leela is an evolution, moving towards Vrindavan. And so when he came as Balaram, he came as Krishna's older brother. Balaram, Krishna used to massage Balaram's feet, according to the Bhagavad. Balaram would get tired sometimes, and he would lay down on the lap of a cowherd boy, and Krishna would massage Balaram's feet. It's just mind-blowing. Balaram serves Krishna in three ways. Ekala Ishwar Krishna Arsava Britya, Arshava Britya in Bengali. Everyone else is his. There's one Lord, Krishna, and everyone else is his servant. So Balaram serves Krishna in three ways. As a parent, as a friend, and as a servant. Sometimes Balaram serves Krishna menially. Lots of times Balaram is Krishna's friend. Those two we can wrap our heads around, but this last one, that Balaram is Krishna's elder. And so that sentiment of loving Krishna as a child, really the original place of that sentiment is in Balaram. ontologically speaking. Nanda and Yashoda are a further evolute of Balaram, who possesses the original parental feelings for Krishna. They're an eternal evolute. They're an eternal evolute, as is Balaram. But within that ontology, these sentiments, they originate in Balaram. This quote from the Bhagavatam, where he is the elder. Sometimes Balaram, according to our acharyas, will have a bad dream that Krishna is being attacked. And he'll wake up in the middle of the night and jump out of bed and start running outside to save Krishna. Balaram is the personification of these moods of service. He's Krishna's pratimurta. He's his counterform. Although he's white and Krishna's black, practically speaking, Balaram is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. But in addition to that white color, he also feels himself to be Krishna's servant. This is Baladev. And a lot of times we see Nityananda like this. He's older than Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and they have intimate pastimes where Balaram will even support Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Mahaprabhu will be dancing and he'll fall. Balaram will hold him up so that he can dance. He'll be protective of Mahaprabhu. He's the gatekeeper. And so, when you look at Balaram, you see those same elements in Nityananda Prabhu. You follow? Now, Balaram is also two things. He's both a journey as well as a destination. Do you understand what I mean when I say these two terms? If English is your native tongue, you may understand. If English is not your native tongue, then you probably don't get it. Balaram is both journey and destination. And I'm not trying to be cool like the journey is the destination, something like that you saw on Instagram and think makes you cool. Do you understand what I mean? If English is your native tongue, you should understand. Do you understand? The journey is a way to get somewhere else. The destination is, that's where you want to get to. A lot of times people will use you on their journey, which is okay. I don't mind people using me. I want to be useful. I don't want to be abused. You follow? Misused. But I don't mind being used. I want to be useful. I want to help. Sometimes people will use something as part of a journey to get somewhere else. They want something. And so, Pati Bhakti Chor Lakhan. You're Bengali? How I got the idea you look Bengali? Has anybody ever thought you looked Bengali?
Because my last name, sometimes people think that I'm Bengali.
Maybe that's where I got it from. What is your last name? Chaudhary or something? Yeah, it's a full Bengali name. Ati Bhakti Chor Lakhan. Too much devotion, silent thief. Sometimes when people want to use you for something, they're very sweet, but they're trying to get from point A to point B. Sometimes we use Balaram, or we use Nityananda to get to Mahaprabhu. This is very common. This is in our literature, it's part of our program. But Balaram is also a destination. He's not just a way to get to Krishna, the gatekeeper to Krishna. He's also a destination. He's also himself a wonderful person. Balaram had his own gopis. Did you know that? Krishna had his gopis. Balaram has gopis too. Wild, right? Did you know that? You knew that. Think about the implications of that. Don't just think about the information, but think about the implications. It means Balaram is the Supreme Personality of God. He's a destination. Those gopis that dance with Balaram, they don't dance with Krishna. They dance with Krishna as Balaram. They're devoted to Balaram. Balaram is also a destination. Radharani is also a destination for the Manjaris. They are Radharani's Palyadasis. They're her protected servants. There's a whole literature about this that we don't normally talk about, but there's a whole literature, there's a whole world of this stuff actually. Balaram isn't just a journey, he's also a destination. Cowherd boys love Balaram and Krishna together forever. They're devoted to Balaram as well as to Krishna. Balaram's like the ultimate Yudeshwar. He's the ultimate leader of those groups of cowherd boys. Sridham, Sudama, these are like big cowherd boys. Not Sudama Vipra, but Sudama cowherd boy. They're the, you meditate on them. And in the spiritual world, if you're a cowherd boy, they're the people you meditate on. But Balaram is always part of that meditation as well. If you love Krishna parentally, as a servant, in familial and familiar affection, like as a friend, fraternal affection, Balaram is like the ultimate model of your devotion forever. The same way we love Guru forever. In those relationships, we love Balaram forever. He's a destination. He's also a person. Krishna doesn't exist in a vacuum. They tried to paint Krishna by himself, and Prabhupada said, don't do it. You have to put a cow or something. Like Prabhupada had a picture of Krishna with an Om. He was like, this is Mayavad. We see Krishna with his devotees. That's bhakti. That's our tradition. We worship Krishna as part of a group of cowherd boys and cowherd girls. We serve together. We do kirtan together. It's all together. And those people in your group, some of them are with you forever. If you worship Krishna up as a servant, or equal as a friend, or down as a parent, Balaram is your archetype. One relationship Balaram is not the archetype for. There's another archetype. There's another archetypal person. Super important. You know what that is? Huh?
Radharani.
That's right. If you worship Krishna in conjugal love, Radharani becomes this archetype. Radharani is also an archetype even for everybody who worships Krishna in the other relations, because they all love Radharani too. Yashoda wants Radharani to marry Krishna. She calls her to her home every day to cook for Krishna. She loves Radharani, like her daughter. They have a relationship. Balaram is not directly involved in the romantic pastimes of Krishna, because he's his older brother, and it would be a disturbance if Krishna can't fully express himself in front of his older brother. There are cowherd boys that like Sridham, that are involved in carrying notes back and forth between Krishna and the gopis. That they're more intimately involved, but they're not his elders. Balaram being an elder is a big deal. One time, somebody was thinking Prabhupada must be a cowherd boy in the spiritual world. And they were talking to one of Prabhupada's best friends, who was also elder than him. His name was Srila Sridhar Maharaj. And Srila Sridhar Maharaj, yeah, his pastimes show like that. Prabhupada read poetry in the movie Cowherd Boy. But Govinda Maharaj, his heir, the person who took over the mutt after Bhakti Raksak Sridhar Dev Goswami Maharaj passed away, there's a Bhakti Sundar Dev Goswami Maharaj who took over. He initiated my wife's father, actually. You see, so I'm connected to him through that. I also have great appreciation for him anyway, but I'm connected to him. He's part of my upline because my wife's father was initiated by him. He interrupted and he said, maybe because Prabhupada had to carry Nityananda's mercy, that in the same way that a gopi will hide her head with her palu, with the edge of her sari, in front of Bashur, the elder brother. So the gopi is married to someone, but then the older brother comes in and she'll cover her head. She won't behave normally like she would in her home in the presence of her older brother. You following this? The older brother of her husband. Bashur is the older brother. He said, so maybe Prabhupada was a Manjari, but in the presence of Nityananda Prabhu, who's Baladev, then Prabhupada covered his head and he became immersed in the sentiments of a cowherd boy, although his ultimate sentiments in the spiritual world may be that of a Manjari. And Srila Sridhar jumped on that. He said to him in Bengali, and Srila Sridhar said in English, he said, yes, this is possible. Perhaps Prabhupada has covered his real sentiments so that he could spread the glory of Nityananda around. So for people in Manjari, Rati, who have a romantic feelings towards Krishna, their relationship with Baladev is a little more remote. That's just the nature of Leela. Everybody loves Radha and Krishna. But Baladev, also everybody loves Baladev, a little more remote. But these personalities, Radharani, Baladev, practically speaking, for all intents and purposes, they're Krishna. They're the apex. They're the zenith. They're a destination as well as a journey. We extend this. We love our gurus forever. I don't want to serve Krishna in the spiritual world without my gurus. For sure my gurus will be there. I'm not going there. I'm missing them. They'll be there. They're a part of the spiritual world. When I go back to Godhead, my gurus will be there and I'll serve them. I serve them here and I'll serve them there. We extend this sentiment. But its origin is Baladev, Radharani. That's Balarama's destination. It's also okay to see him as journey. Ultimately, you should see him as both. Nityananda is Balarama. You should see him as that. There's value in that. That's why our tradition speaks about it. Nityananda is also Nityananda. Nityananda is a special personality. Nitya Charan Satya Tar Shebaka Nitya. Nityananda's lotus feet are real and his servants are eternal. Narottam sounded like this 450 years ago. Nityananda is his own ecstatic person in the spiritual world. In Gauranga Lila, we wish to go to Gauranga Lila as well. We serve Krishna forever in Gokul, and we simultaneously serve Krishna in the form of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu forever in Nityananda. Generally, our lineage is Manjaris in Gokul, and they're Brahman boys. in Nityananda, and they do kirtan. And sometimes while doing kirtan with Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, it will become the Ras Lila, because it always was. Because Vrindavan is Navadvip, and Navadvip is Vrindavan. But Navadvip is also Vrindavan with the added element of Audarya, or mercy. Nityananda is different than Baladev. He's Kripa Avatar. He's the incarnation of mercy. He cannot see who is Uttam and Adham, who is high and who is low. He delivers everybody. If you chant Hare Krishna and you make some aparad, then Bahu Jama Kodi Jodi Shobhan Kirtan Tobu Tana Pai Krishna Pade Premadam. You won't get Krishna Prema. Even after Bahu Jama, many lifetimes of chanting Krishna's name. But if you chant Gaurnata, Gauranga Nityananda, then automatically you become ecstatic. Nityananda is an avatar of mercy. He's praying mata. He's maddened by love. He is the incarnation of munificence and mercy and compassion and grace. He's like a Christ-like figure for us. But like for him, even Judas gets liberated. The quintessential pastime of Nityananda Mahaprabhu is that Jagai and Madhai are torturing Nityananda. And Mahaprabhu wants to kill him. And Nityananda says, no. Madhai was going to hit me again. And Jagai stopped him. So he's done some service. They're good people. If I've ever done anything of any value, you please give them mercy. Nityananda can't compromise your free will, but he gets you really close. Vrindavan is secret. The love of Radharani and Krishna's secret. How is it that a bunch of Westerners who ate cows and did all manner of unmentionable things can think about, meditate on, value, and pursue and achieve intimate love for Krishna? It's by the grace of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and that's only achievable by the grace of Nityananda Prabhu. So everything Mahaprabhu has, this Unata Ujjvala Rasa, Swabhakti Shriya, this like incredible gift of conjugal love that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was giving, you can only get that through Nityananda. Again, he's the journey. And Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is special, and therefore Nityananda becomes special, because he's the doorway through whom you reach Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Krishnadas Kaviraj says, if you want to be a devotee of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and not Nityananda, then you are guilty of ardhukuti nyaya, half-hand logic. You want an egg, but you don't want to feed the hen. So you cut the head off and think you're still going to get eggs. He actually says, better you become an atheist and reject both than a hypocrite by accepting one and rejecting the other. That's how important Nityananda is. Nityananda is so important that Krishnadas Kaviraj's brother offended a devotee of Nityananda. And Krishnadas Kaviraj rejected him. And his brother fell down. Just because he defended a devotee of Nityananda, not even Nityananda directly, but just by showing some disrespect towards a devotee of Nityananda named Miniketan Ramdas, just by not respecting Ramdas sufficiently, Krishnadas Kaviraj took sannyas, rejected his brother fell down. We see Guru as the representative of Nityananda. Because Vaishnavas give mercy. And Nityananda is the incarnation of mercy, and therefore the Vaishnava is representing Nityananda when he acts and reclaims fallen souls. That's Nityananda as a vehicle to get to Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Just as Baladeva is a vehicle to get to Krishna. But that understanding by itself is insufficient. We need to appreciate Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Nityananda Prabhu as Baladeva and see the connection as a vehicle to Krishna, as a vehicle to Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. But we also need to see Nityananda as a destination. There's no spiritual world. There's no Nitya Davadvi without Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and Nityananda Prabhu. We are with the Panchatattva forever. That's why we have an altar. We meditate on them in the spiritual world. We go back to them in the spiritual world. We serve them in the spiritual world, just like we serve them in this world. They're each special. Inconceivably special personalities. And Nityananda Prabhu is, in some ways, the most special. Gadadhar also, in some ways, is the most special. Because they're Balaram and Radharani in the eternal Leela of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and therefore their positions in that Leela are the same. And so the devotees who worship Chaitanya Mahaprabhu in a conjugal mood, as Brahman boys who do kirtan with Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, when it becomes a rasa stali and the kirtan transformed and they're in Vrindavan and they have these back and forth where it's the same Leela going on in two different aspects, then Gadadhar becomes Radharani and they become gopis and manjars. And for those devotees in a fraternal mood, then they become Kaugopis. And Nityananda is Baladev. And here's the final point I'll make. And you're with the Panchatattva forever. You love them forever. They are your Ishtadev, your worshipable Lord. That's what it means to be a Gaudiya Vaishnava. We don't merely move through these personalities to get back to Vrindavan. We also want to be in Navadvip forever. We want to play Mridanga forever. I even eat Bengali food. I'm not so fond of Bengali food, to be quite honest. It's like always made a mustard oil. I always think it's good when I'm eating and I get sick afterwards, almost like every time. It's not so nice. It's not like Gujarati food or South Indian food. Bengali food's kind of rough. But I eat it because Chaitanya Mahaprabhu eats it. I study Bengali because Chaitanya Mahaprabhu spoke Bengali. I have to learn this culture so that I can go back home, back to Godhead, and I'm trained up. Nitya Charan Satya. His feet are real. He's a real personality. He's the Supreme Lord in this incredibly magical, munificent form. Just like Prahlad must be with Narasimha. We must be with Nityananda Prabhu. He's a destination for us as well. He's part of the eternal set of people that we love with our whole hearts and soul, and that we serve and worship in perpetuity. So who is Nityananda Prabhu? He's Baladev. Mahaprabhu is Krishna, and Nityananda is Baladev. And there's great value in understanding Nityananda as Baladev. And who's Baladev? He's a destination to help you get to Krishna. Excuse me, he's a journey to help you get to Krishna. And he's also a destination. He's a wonderful, fundamental, apex personality in the spiritual world that everybody has a relationship with, even the manjaris where it's more remote. And who's Nityananda? He's also his own wonderful personality, because Navadvip is forever. And what are you doing? You're using him to get to Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. He's a journey, and you use him to get to Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. But he's also a destination. He's an apex personality in Nityananda that you love forever. You think about what he looks like. When Krishna's Kaviraj saw him, he was black. Sham Chikana. He had a glossy, blackish complexion. Sham means black. Chikana means glossy. He had a glossy, black complexion. He wore a turban. He had a buffalo horn. He walked slowly, shifting his weight side to side. His legs were powerful, like banana trees, like an elephant's gait he walked with. He had a beautiful silk dhoti and turban. Oftentimes he's depicted in blue. He had ornaments on his body. He was chanting Krishna, Krishna. He was surrounded by devotees who were all dressed as cowboys. Nityananda's devotees, they're wild. They go to amazing places. They go everywhere and anywhere because they're like him. They're oceans of mercy. They don't see who's higher and lower. They go to Muslim countries. They go to the forests and the jungles of Brazil, Africa. They carry Krishna's name with them wherever they go. They're intoxicated, so they're just like mad people giving out love of God. The Hare Krishna movement is representing Nityananda's mercy in the world. Srila Prabhupada did that. His disciples do that. That's Nityananda's madness. He was sent to preach to low-class people. He would preach to women and Shudras, low-class people in the patriarchal, medieval Hindu society. He preached to Suvarna Vaniks. Suvarna Vaniks were the Jews of medieval India. They were the money lenders and the gold merchants. They occupied a similar position to the Jewish. I'm part Jewish, by the way, so I can speak about such things. They were considered to be low class. Handling money was considered low class in India. And so because of their occupation of usury, of money lending, high interest rates, having pounds and shillings men, you know who was part of that same Suvarna money community? They were rich, they were wealthy, aristocratic, they were looked down upon by the pure Brahmins. You know what's part of that community? Suvarna means gold, Vanik means merchant. You know what's part of that community? Huh? No. Srila Prabhupada.
May I insert the comment?
No. It's very rude. I'm giving class. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Srila Prabhupada is part of that community. We are the byproduct of Nityananda being mad with love of God. But who was Nityananda's favorite preaching partner? Do you know? Haridas. Haridas was a Muslim. His favorite preaching partner was a Muslim. Who did he preach to? Drunkards and womanizers and meat eaters. Mahaprabhu sent him to go back to Bengal and preach to these quote-unquote lower rungs of society. This is who he is. This is his mood, because he doesn't see who's higher or lower. He sees the best in everybody. Our movement is a modern day incarnation. We need to imbibe Nityananda's mood in this world and in that world. We need to develop his qualities in this world and in that world. We worship him as our archetype in this world and that world. He was playful. He would play with Mahaprabhu. He was loving. He was funny. He was easygoing. Sometimes not. One time he kicked a devotee in the chest. Just like I kicked that devotee. I don't know why he comes in and 2 seconds later wants to speak. I don't know what that was about. He kicked Shivanand Sain in the chest. Shivanand Sain danced and was very happy. We need to develop some feeling for these personalities, especially for Nityananda. He's the journey, he's the destination. He's Balaram, he's Nitai. Your existence as a Gaudiya Vaishnava is your ability to balance all these ideas together into one harmonious whole, so you love Nityananda. Just like you love your mother, or your father, or your husband, or your wife, or your best friend. It's holistic. It all comes together and you just understand them. And they're important to you. We think a lot, we spend a lot of time meditating on our relationship with Krishna in the spiritual world and cultivating that and diving into that. We need to do the same thing with Nityananda Prabhu. And it's ridiculous, because our relationship with Krishna in the spiritual world, it doesn't usually directly represent in this world. It's in our heart of hearts, it's in our meditation. We step out of this world into that relationship. But Nityananda Prabhu, it's inconceivable, because the very thing you're doing in that world also gets done in this world. The selflessness, the seeing the best in everybody, the not looking down upon anybody, the seeing hope for everybody, including yourself, the dedicating your life to helping other people. They talked about Rup Sanatan. They were so merciful. They went to Paschatya Desh, the Western countries, and preached to those who were anachar, who were poorly behaved, and made them suchar. They made them properly behaved. And they established deity worship in these Western countries. And they wrote books on bhakti. They were talking about the Goswamis who went to UP, Uttar Pradesh, and Rajasthan, and Gujarat. It was Western India. You follow? That was wow, they really were merciful. That same mood just continued and went all over the world. And that's the Hare Krishna movement. Anyway, I wanted to just kind of take you guys on a little bit of a walk and explore some of the different thoughts I have about Nityananda Prabhu as Baladev and as Nitai, and how those mix together and permeate one another. And I want to think about Nityananda as a journey as well as a destination, by exploring how Balaram is both a journey as well as a destination, and then using that as a springboard, because we're familiar with that, to understand the same thing about Nityananda. And I want to try to blur the lines in between Nityananda as journey and destination, between Nityananda as Nitai and as Baladev, to paint a picture and kind of just bounce back and forth with the idea of trying to bring it together for you guys, because I don't have to start with just the basics, but I can build on some kind of scaffolding of you having some sense to create a little bit more of a harmonization. And that's it. Thank you very much, IGTV. Thank you very much, Facebook.